Today, we're going to learn how to tie the spiral Futomomo. My name's Lazarus Redmayne, and this is TheDuchy.com. The spiral Futomomo is a method for holding a person's leg together without having any ropes going in between where the calf meets the thigh. You don't really want ropes in there because there's blood vessels, there's nerves, things like that. It can become uncomfortable to have your leg pinched on there. In fact, it'd be something that can cause problems. So we don't like to have any rope run through the legs right here, and the Futomomo allows us to avoid that. You start with a single column around the ankle, and you want that cuff to be a little bit wider than maybe you would normally do it. I've got a 6-stranded Somerville bowline here, and I can get at least 2 or 3 fingers underneath that. You want it to be not super tight so that you have a little bit of room to play there, and you do want it wider because a lot of pressure gets put against this ankle, and you want that to be more comfortable. Now this is a 30-foot piece of rope, and it's just the right size for this particular person. You can start wrapping either along the outside, or you can start wrapping along the inside. And that's just personal choice that you can make based on where you want your ropes to end up. And there's a number of different ways of wrapping your ropes for a spiral Futomomo. One of them is to, well, first off, you want to make sure that the ankle is really tightly against the thigh when you're starting this, because it's going to migrate out a little bit as you go. So one way of doing it is to simply wrap around and to distribute the force a little bit better along the thigh here. But it gets distributed pretty well if you use the classic technique, which is to just spiral the ropes out a couple of inches from each other all the way around the leg, like this. Now, you can have as many or as few of these spirals as you want. You want at least 3, but I've seen it done with 4, I've seen it done with 5, and that works fine as well. We'll just go with 4 total wraps in this case. On your last wrap, you're going to bring your tail down so that it meets the second to the last wrap. Then you're going to reach underneath that second to the last wrap in this acute angle, this narrower angle here. That's where you're going to reach through. Grab your tail and pull it up. And I've been keeping pretty good tension on this the entire time. Then you cross the incoming line like this, and then you're going to go down under that other line. But before we do it, you'll notice that my knot is not really at this center point where the legs meet, and we want it to be over there. So I'm going to release a little of that tension so I can move that knot over so that it's right between where the legs meet. That gives you a little bit more space to work and a little more comfortable for your partner. All right, once you've got that, then run your rope back through. So we've just created a munter hitch. I'm going to do that again on all of these lines as we go down. So now I'm going to create my second munter hitch, and I want it to mirror this munter hitch, which means that since I came in from this side on the first, on my first knot, I'm going to do the same thing here. So reach under, pull your rope back, then go over top of your center line like that, and then under the other line like this. There we go, that's a second munter. And now I'm going to repeat that for the next 2. There's that one. Same thing here. Reach under. Go across the center line. Onto the ankle side and down like that. Now, once you've reached this point, now you're going to reach between the ankle and thigh, grab your tail, and pull it through to the other side. Like this. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Munter hitches all the way up to the top. So now we're on the other side, and this little loop from my Somerville bowline's in the way, so I'm just going to tuck that between the legs there. And then I'm going to pull that rope a little bit snug. And now we're going to do the same thing, running munter hitches all the way up. So I'm going to pick the side that I'm going to start with first, and so that's just going to be the thigh side. So I'm just going to pull that under, like that. You can't see it very well, but I'm crossing over my center line again, underneath the leg, and then coming back up, like that. And now I'm going to do the same thing with munter hitches all the way up. Same process. Underneath the thigh side first, across the center stem, and then up the other side. Once you get used to this motion, it becomes quite natural, quite quick to do. So don't worry about the first couple of times you do it. Now when you get to the last one, you could do exactly the same thing. Bring it down, the thigh side across and then up. And you got a little bit more that you need to use up. And what I'm going to do in this case, I'm just going to pull out that last loop of my munter a little bit and tuck the lines into that. And then I ran my lines into that loop and then tightened the whole thing up. That has made a cow hitch to lock everything off like that. And then I could just tuck my ends underneath like this. Now if you happen to have more rope than that, you could spiral it down like we show you for the Suspension Futomomo, and then add another loop if you need to around the leg down here. As long as it's not load bearing, you should be just fine. But here is the Spiral Futomomo. Check out this and other instructional videos on TheDuchy.com. If you learned a little something, consider supporting us at patreon.com/TheDuchy.